Have you ever felt judged in your grief? I know I have, and I know I've done the judging as well. I hear about this constantly in my private therapy practice, and today we're going to explore the hows and whys of judgment and grief. I'm Jo McRogers, a therapist who supports grief, and I'm so sorry that you need to be here, and yet I'm so glad that you have found this place of grief support that works. Let's do grief differently. The state of grief leaves us feeling vulnerable and isolated, and part of this is the reason why grief is so unique. What I have found is that while no one else can totally understand or get my grief, what is critical is that my grief needs to be respected. And yet society pushes the get it done with, get it over with, and you've got approximately 3 months to do that. 3 months seems to be the drop-off point in support, compassion, empathy, and respect. We do not come pre-wired with a coping strategy to process our grief. And those on the outside of our unique and personalized grief experience can only see a small little part of our grief. It's like an iceberg. And without being able or willing to try and see what's below the waterline, others are quick to judge how we are doing our grief. Getting pregnant again as soon as you can. Others may judge you that you're trying to replace the baby who died. Not trying to get pregnant for a period of time may be judged as being stuck in your grief. Dating after your partner died may leave your family or children judging you for being disrespectful. And never dating again can be judged as being stuck in the past, not being able to move on. Having a moment of laughter can be judged as so inappropriate if it seems too soon. And tears months later can be judged as inappropriate and not able to move on. It happens often when people will say to you, but you didn't know the person that died that well. Why are you so impacted? In your grief experience, can you relate to this? If you feel comfortable, then please share your feelings of being judged below in the comments so that we can see how frequently this happens. Feeling judged by those around us is dangerous and it's not helpful. It constructs walls. It tells me to take my grief underground, to not allow my grief to be seen. It can make me angry, and it's completely the opposite of connection. We then need to be careful about the self-judgment that happens. And this is also a common question that I'm asked in so many of my therapy sessions. Why am I still so sad? It's been months. Why can't I yet clean out a closet? I know he's not in those things. At this point in grief, we are holding ourselves to others' expectations as well as to our own internal expectations, and judgment abounds. So, how to process this judging? It is important to know that often when others are judging us, they are actually judging themselves. Often I think that others are protecting themselves through the act of judgment. It is as though they are rehearsing how they would navigate our same grief, and they need to protect themselves from the pain and the vulnerability that they are witnessing in us. Or conversely, they need to feel that they have in fact done a past grief the right way. They've done it the right way, which was their way, which should now be your way. It doesn't necessarily make sense, but it's a natural product of trying to support someone and their grief. The self-judgment that we experience is our brain trying to protect us, to make our grief linear somehow, to find measurables that we can measure ourselves against, landmarks that we can try to tether ourselves to, and antidote the free fall that is grief. So tell me, what have I missed? What can you add? Share your thoughts below, and know that I read all of the comments in order to learn all of the time. So, what do we need to know about this? That compassion of self and other is the key. Dr. Alan Wolfelt is an author and an educator on the topic of healing and grief, and he has written the Mourner's Bill of Rights. Number 1, you have the right to experience your own grief. Number 2, you have the right to talk about your grief. Number 3, you have the right to feel a multitude of emotions. And 4, you have the right to be tolerant of your physical and emotional limits. Number 5, you have the right to experience grief bursts. And 6, you have the right to make use of rituals. 7, you have the right to embrace your spirituality. 8, you have the right to search for meaning. 9, you have the right to treasure your memories. And 10, You have the right to move forward in your grief and heal. I've included a link to the full PDF in the comments below. Grief is such an intimate, vulnerable state, and I wish we could all be with our grief without judgment. Judging or feeling judged has no place in the momentum or the integration of grief. Judgment, in fact, may be the busy, shiny distraction work that keeps us from actually being with our grief. And that is the key element, respecting how you are with it and having others respect how you are with it. So as we find our way through our grief, I send kind thoughts, kind words, and a kind heart. Thank you so much and take good care.